Yeah, so the pastor convinces me to come back to church. As I said before, a lot of pastors, they really want to grow their membership, and he didn't want me to leave the church. So, kind of like convinces me to, come back and like get involved and stuff like that. And he seems quite understanding with the whole situation. And obviously, this is a church that has, really helped me grow in my faith, especially as a student. And now, I'm serving in the church and stuff like that. And we had two services every Sunday, one in Kent, one in Newton. And that distance is not a joke. Even traveling from London to Kent is wild. Traveling from Newton to Kent every Sunday is wild. We would get back at like 1 a.m. sometimes. But we were dedicated, like we were like he really has people working for him. Like, I can't lie, like the people that work for him, he's boy, everybody's like so dedicated. So, and then we would have like midweek services in St. Albans. We were going in, like we were preaching the gospel. So yeah, so my ex-husband would still like message me, and everything would always be centered around gifts and engagement rings and wedding bells, and like me being Nigerian and then being Ghanaian and all of that. And I noticed, like, when I would go to Kent, he all of a sudden started coming to Kent. Like, he never came to Kent. He'd go to church, but he wasn't really involved like that. And hindsight is a beautiful thing, because looking back, I noticed that the pastor really wanted him to be a lot more involved. So the fact that he's becoming more involved because of me, I was definitely finessed in this whole situation. So me being in the church and stuff like that was kind of like used to make him more involved in church. And I know this is something that doesn't just happen to me, but other people as well. So like I noticed he started coming to the Kent services. Going to Kent is long, so you had to be dedicated to go to Kent. So he started coming to the Kent services, and like he would sit next to me. He would always sit next to me every service, to sit next to me. And I just started to feel claustrophobic again, especially after what happened with Uncle Fred. I was just like like, and it would have been different if he tried to get to know me on a friendship level. But the fact that everything was just head on marriage, it was just it was a bit wild. And then the services after I'd like finished singing, like leading worship, I would sit down and he would sit right next to me again. And I'll just be like, what's the point? And then you barely say anything afterwards, and it's just about marriage and stuff. And I had enough, so I complained, not knowing that they've already had conversations about marriage. And my pastor at the time would always like ask people who they were considering in the church and stuff like that. So everything is kind of like being orchestrated, like nothing's happening naturally, because they're all going to the pastor about who they're interested in, and having talks about it. So obviously I complained, and then the pastor went back to Isaac and was like, oh, I think you've ruined your chances with Lydia. She's complained to me about the situation, and you might have messed up your chances, my guy. And then there was also like some weird complaint from his daughter, because his daughter was saying that, I almost said his name. His daughter was saying that my ex-husband was like making passes at her, and she was only 7 at the time, so he thought that was very weird. um, and then the pastor confronted him on that as well and was like, are you sure you're born again? Like, are you sure you're a believer? And stuff like that, because I got a complaint from my daughter and now I've got a complaint from Lydia, type of thing. But I feel like that should have been handled a lot more seriously, because if my child complained to me that a grown up is looking at them in a certain way, I feel like it should have been dealt with a lot more seriously. But yeah, he said that was weird. He thought, why would a child even say something like that? Like, that's weird. Who knows? Who knows? So the pastor, said, was just, yeah, well, I just spoke to the pastor about this. I can't remember exactly what he said, but like, he obviously spoke to, I almost said his name again. He obviously spoke to my ex-husband, and so we started to keep our distance from each other. So I'll explain to you how things unraveled after that.